Ladies and gentlemen, I have an awesome show for you guys tonight. The show I have for you tonight is unique in several different ways. I have two of my favorite people on the planet on the show with me today. I have Brittany Bell. I have Madison Matthews on the show. These are my two youngest guests I've ever had on the show, and we're gonna have some fun talking to these two today, boy. Let's run the intro. Let's get back into it. Welcome to the Even People Show. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Evening People Show. If this is your first time joining the show, this is a show where we talk to interesting people, we interview them, we see what's going on with them. We always leave a positive vibe. Tonight, for the very first time, I have two teenagers, two high school students on the show. We're boldly going where no one has gone before with the show today, is what we're doing. My guests tonight are none other than Brittany Bell and Madison Matthews. I'm going from alphabetical, like we're back in school and the teacher's calling your name. So Brittany Bell comes first. And I didn't realize you're BB and MM. Anyways, Brittany she's a prefect. She's attending Manchester High School. She was a member of their award-winning choir. She's a member of the music club executive team. She was a member of the school's first cheerleading team. She wants to pursue business. She writes, and strength and growth comes only through continuous effort and struggle by Napoleon Hill is one of her favorite phrases that she goes by. Madison Matthews, on the other hand, and Brittany attends school in Manchester, Jamaica. She goes to Manchester High School. There's also Manchester, England. No, not that one. Madison attends school here in Florida. Madison is a member of the Deca, and I need to know what that is as soon as she comes on here. Also an honor roll student since kindergarten. She volunteers at church. She actually has a job which she holds down. She's a former member of the Girl Scout. She plays the piano. She plays soccer. She's a junior in high school. And both of these young ladies, if you talk to them, which we're about to do right now, then you'd be as impressed with them as I am. So without further ado, I'm going to add both my guests to the show, Brittany Bell and Madison Matthews. Welcome to the show, ladies. I'm so excited to have both of you here today. And the first thing I want to know, I mentioned that both of you were unmute your mics. You're live now. I mentioned to both of you that both of you were on the honor roll. And if I'm to be honest, I have no idea what the honor roll is. I've never been a member of the honor roll. I was an average student at best when I was in high school. So let's start with Brittany. How does your honor roll program work exactly?
So, good afternoon, everyone. At my school, which is the Supreme Home of Champions, Manchester High School in Jamaica, the honor roll is something that you have to earn. So it's all about your academic performance. So they have different honor rolls. So you have academics, sports, and club honor rolls.
Okay.
So for the academic honor roll, if your average is over 80 for that year, then you've made the honor roll. As long as you are exceptional in your area for sports and clubs, then you can meet those specific honor rolls.
And you have been on the academic honor roll like ever since you started high school.
Ever since I've started school,
School in
actually.
general. So we're talking
Yes.
from whatever the first school. For me, that would have been Mandeville All Age. I don't even know if they had an honor roll there. Like I said, I was just an average Joe in school until college. My brain woke up in college, and I took off after that. All right, Madison, how does the honor roll work at your institution?
So when I said that I was the honor roll in kindergarten, not kindergarten, I meant like elementary school and like middle school and stuff like that. You had the AB honor roll and then you had A honor roll. Where if you got AB honor roll, that means you got all A's and like one B, or if you got half A's or half a B. But for the honor roll in high school, it's basically if you have a 3.0 or a 3.5 or higher, you're automatically considered the honor roll, and that's accumulative since you started school. So that's basically it. Just
Okay.
A's and B's.
Okay, A's and B's. Now what I did, I've had several teachers on here. I've had a few principals on here. I've had a few education officers on here. I've heard from them, what their institutions did as it relates to planning for school, what happened before COVID, what happened when they heard about COVID, just the whole how COVID has affected them from an administrative teacher standpoint. What I want to find out from you ladies is what was your initial reaction when COVID-19, when you started hearing about COVID-19, what was your initial reaction, if you remember? What did you think was going to happen? Do you think it was going to affect you at all? Brittany B, you're first.
Okay. So I remember vividly what happened the first, my last day of school. So that I think that was March 12th, 2020. I remember everybody, we all just thought that it was a 2 week holiday and it would come back to school and it would be as if nothing had happened.
Wouldn't that have been nice, right?
Yes.
Madison, what about you? What do you remember? What your initial reaction or just the vibe in your institution? What the other kids were saying, what they thought was going on, or what was going to happen?
I actually, sorry. I actually remember the exact conversation me and my best friend had. We were joking. We were saying everyone's making a big deal out of this because we saw on TikTok actually they were shutting down schools, and we were like, "How dramatic is that? That they're shutting down schools for no reason at all?" And we went on spring break, and we didn't come back for a year. So that's pretty much how that went.
Yeah, the one
And
a 1 year spring break up.
what happened? Oh yeah, yeah, pretty
Okay,
much.
now how about now? Your initial reaction obviously changed. How has your initial reaction changed? What is your outlook on it now? Do you see us
Well,
attain? I'm sorry, Brittany. Do you see us ever achieving normalcy as it looked prior to?
I doubt that very much. It has definitely been a 180. We've been adapting to our new normal. I think even if we do get rid of the coronavirus, which is at some point, no point near where we're at now, we will never go back to the way it was before.
Madison, what do you think?
I think the term normalcy changes over time, and I think it's changed again. And I don't think that, like, I think we have a new normal now.
Okay.
So
Now, what are some of the adjustments that you had to make, or that your school made because of COVID, and how did this change your approach to how you do school?
So my school has made the general adjustments, the sanitization stations, the temperature checks, the change in modality. They have all been made. But what has really improved is the psychosocial element of things. The staff is paying way more attention to the well-being of their students. I'm constantly going to classes. My teachers are checking on me, making sure that okay and I'm in a good position. And the changes that I have had to make is I've definitely had to elevate my self-discipline.
And not just stay home and sleep or eat all day.
Yes, which is very tempting.
I can only imagine. Madison?
Repeat the question for me, please.
Oh, the question was, what are some of the adjustments that you've had to make or that your school made because of COVID? And how did this change your approach to how you do schooling in general?
So in school, the teachers specifically, they don't they get more upset with us. Like especially if you came from online. Like my math teacher, for instance, he gets upset with everyone in the class because he's like, I know you guys cheated last year. I know every single one of you guys cheated last year. And he doesn't actually try to help us. Like he genuinely just gets upset. So with the teachers, I wouldn't say that they're trying to help us like at all. And then we had this one thing where they had like a one-way door at school where you could only go like where the hallways only ran like this way or like that way. Like you couldn't go through either door, if you understand what I'm saying. And they used to have that as if COVID only ran in one direction. So I don't know if that's the way the school changed things, but yeah.
One way COVID sounds fun. Now, how has your or have your grades been affected? You're both honor roll students. Have your grades been affected? Which form of learning do you prefer, and why? Which form meaning, sitting in a classroom or a school at home?
So thankfully, my grades have not been affected by the coronavirus, but um, I think it has been affected to other students, and the learning style that I prefer, it's definitely undecided because each of them has their perks. So I'm just grateful that I have the opportunity to learn, to be very honest.
Okay, interesting, interesting. I like that one. Madison?
I agree with Brittany when she says it really hasn't affected me, but I see how it affects other students. Um,
Okay. And that's interesting. That's actually one of my next questions. How have your peers been adjusting? Has attendance changed? Have you seen students that were once, A students, fall to the wayside? Have anybody just not showed up back to school since school started in any capacity?
I think everyone's process is so different. So I know people who their education is right on the money. You have other persons, they haven't even stepped into the casino. And there are persons that I haven't seen since March 2020. They have not been online. And for those of you who don't know, the exam cohort, we have recently got the go ahead to attend face to face classes. So some of those persons that I have not seen since March 2020, I'm seeing them at face to face school.
How are they making up the gap?
Well, that is not a question I can answer. If I knew, trust me, I would tell you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What about you, Madison? How have your peers been doing?
a couple of my friends actually just dropped out completely.
Wow.
A lot of the honor rolls kids, like I mentioned before, they're adapting pretty well. They've always pretty much adapted, especially when you started high school. They pretty much adapted to everything. So it's basically those kids that were already the last legs in the class. They didn't benefit at all from the gap. They fell off. So
Wow. Now, how many students would you say, Brittany Madison? How many students would you say this affected in that way? We're talking about one random student, 10 students, 15 students.
Probably a third of my year group.
A third?
Yes, it's a lot.
What
You'd
what
be
what form?
surprised.
A third. Okay, Madison. Let me hear what Madison has to say. Madison.
I wouldn't say a third since we're very like America's like strict on like students not going to school. So I would about one fourth though. One fourth
Really?
of the entire class. They've either dropped behind or dropped out completely. But a lot of kids are struggling, like a lot.
I did. I'm glad I had y'all two on here. You see, now I'm getting different insights. I didn't know either of these things. Now, I was going to ask you what school you attended, um, but I think we kind of covered that. Now, what level are you ladies at, and what do you plan to do after?
So I am in fifth form. Madison, you would know that as a junior. And after, well, if for those of you who don't know, the Ministry of Education has now made sixth form mandatory. So I do intend on going to sixth form, and then I hope to continue in the field of business.
Okay, field of business. Yep, I'm right there with you when you're ready. I'll be your investor. You don't need to go work for anybody. Let's just start a business. Let's know what you want to open, and we'll invest. Don't worry about it. Madison?
I am a junior. I only have 1 year left in high school, and then I'm going to go to college and be a psychiatrist.
A psychiatrist. That sounds fun. Now that's your final answer? I have to ask.
Yes, that is my final answer.
Final answer. Okay. All right, Ruby. Did I tell some? That is my Ruby. What's up, Lorenzo? Lorenzo is my Ruby from college. Okay. Now moving on up. If there are students out there, which you both mentioned that there are, that are struggling with online learning, what advice would you give to them?
So I would say that it's a bit of a cliche, but you are not alone. You are never alone. If you lack the resources or the motivation, all you need to do is reach out to your peers, your family, your friends, your counselors, because there's always a helping hand. Somebody's always ready to help you despite how you may feel.
Awesome. Madison?
I agree with Brittany. There's always someone who's going to want to help, even if it's not your teachers directly, reach out to your classmates. But then on the other hand, it really takes the student themselves to want to learn. Like if a child does not want to learn and they're not being forced at home to go to school, it's like there's really no, like they're not going to want to go to school. So
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Um, Now let's see. If you were the principal, because you two seem highly opinionated, so let's see if we can get some of those opinions of yours in here while we're at it. Um, if you were the principal of your institution, what would you have done differently regarding how COVID and education itself was dealt with?
Honestly, I think that the staff at Manchester High School is doing everything to the best of their ability considering the circumstances.
Nice.
So, therefore, rather than to critique, I'd like to commend and thank everybody at my institution for their thoughts and prayers and help that they have given to make this transition into the online space easier for me.
And this has nothing to do with the fact that both your parents are work in that industry, right?
No.
Okay, Madison.
I would say be more personalized with the students. Try, I don't know if they want to take like more like aptitude tests to see where the kids are at, but they're teaching the kids as if they're all on the same level, as if they all learn the same things over the break or over the gap when none of the kids are at the same level. So I would say try and make the classes more personalized instead of just continuing as if they all got the same education last year.
Okay, I see that. I see that. It would be like almost like somebody stopped coming to school for a year. They come back to school after a year, and you expect them to pick up wherever wherever they left off, as if they didn't miss any school at all. But that's great, Brittany. Manchester High School is my alma mater. I went to Manchester High School myself. I'm very, very happy that they are representing the way they are. And Madison, you also make a legit valid point. You can't just pick up like everybody was being taught the same set of things, the same set of ways. You have to adjust. You have to adjust to accommodate the students who did nothing the entire time. Um, okay, that brings me to a question, but like I don't want Brittany to tell me that that's not for her per se. That's more when I bring one of the teachers or one of the principals or education officers back on here, I'll ask them the question that came to mind just now. Now, for you two ladies, my next question is, um, I'm wondering if I should ask you guys this. I thought about it, but I'm gonna do it. Let's see what's the worst that could happen. What's your take on the vaccine? Yes, no, and why?
So I am pro-vaccine. It's been a losing game against the coronavirus. So if I get the opportunity to better my odds, then call me an opportunist. It's as simple as that.
Brittany, I know you say you're right, and that is coming out so much in the things that you're saying right now. Like you're coming off in 3D, kind of like how I write my own poetry. But Madyson, talk to me.
Um, when it comes to the COVID vaccine, I wouldn't say that I'm an anti-vaxxer because that comes with a very um, negative, what is the word? Connotation.
Connotation.
Yeah. I just feel like it shouldn't be mandated. Like it shouldn't be you're going to lose your job unless you take the vaccine. And I say that I'm not an anti-vaxxer because I took the polio vaccine. Like certain vaccines, like for the measles, you have to take those vaccines because like duh. But the COVID vaccine, I feel is very, very new and I shouldn't be pressured. I personally don't want to be a guinea pig is how I put it. I don't want to be the control group or the test group or something like that. I don't want to be that. I may take the vaccine in the future. However, since it is very new, I don't want to take it as of right now. And I don't think it should be required to keep your job or to go to school.
Okay. Very different views, very interesting points from both of you ladies. Very interesting. And I won't dive into that any further because the comments will start flashing up so fast and furious I can't keep up because that's a hot topic for a lot of people. Now, any other points that are or points of interest that either of you ladies want to share before we move on? No? Now, let me ask you this off the wall. What sporting activities, because Britt, you did several things. Which of those are still active?
Well, the sporting activities that I used to partake in, none of them are currently active right now. In Jamaica, we are currently in the Costa Cup football season. So
Mhm.
I think that is the only sports active right now, and probably track and field.
Okay. Track and field. And well, those are my two things really. So I'm very happy about that. Sorry. Now, Madyson, you said you were a member of Deca. And I'm going to ask you this one too, Brittany. You said you're a group of Deca. You're a member of Deca. I'm sorry. You guys recently completed a project. Tell me about what Deca is, and tell me about the project that you recently completed and what your role was in it.
So DECA technically stands for Distributive Education Clubs of America, but basically it's a club for marketing. I've taken marketing levels 1 and 2. Right now I'm in marketing applications where we learn how to manage businesses and things like that. So in DECA, we compete and you compete in different categories of those like for instance, there's project management and then there's integrated marketing. For example, integrated marketing, you have to find a way to market for a business that needs help. And it's better that we do that now because of COVID. So a lot of like small businesses need help. So you could do integrated marketing. The category that we chose was project management, where you have different options like community service options, things like that. We chose business solutions, where you have to find a business, find a problem with the business, and then find a solution for that business. For us, we did school was the problem. And the problem with school was that basically we didn't know anything about like dual enrollment. And we have this program called HSCA or AP classes or things like that. They didn't really inform us about it at all. We were just basically thrown into high school without knowledge of any of those things. They're called accelerated learning programs that are supposed to accelerate your learning and make you get through high school as quickly as possible. And so I decided to email the middle schoolers for 2 schools in Lake County, which is where I live, and ask them if we could present to their 8th graders before they enter high school about those accelerated learning programs to inform the 8th graders the information that I was never given in order to solve that problem in that business. So just recently we finished presenting to one of the schools, and we're going to present to the other one when we come back from break.
That sounds like a lot of fun, Madison. That actually sounds fun. So you were in front of how many students would you say you presented to? And was it a one-day event? How did they work that out?
We basically had 60 kids per class because we presented to each period, and there were 6 periods. One of them is a planning period. So we presented 5 times. I was the main one who spoke. There were 60 kids per class. A lot of the kids were very like active and participating, were asking questions and stuff. And that made me feel really good because it's like, I really want them to know that they have other options than to just be thrown into high school. You know, like they can start thinking about things that they want to do, stuff like that.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, Brittany, I'm not even sure how to come at you with this because you write. I've actually listened to something. You've read me something that you've written, which was very impressive. And you're a member of the prefect body. Any notable project that you've recently completed or are working on, whether writing or in any other capacities that you feel that you want to tell us about?
So as for the prefect body, we currently are working on 2 major projects, which are very secretive, so I cannot tell you about. Sorry. Writing, honestly, it is just an outlet. So sometimes school requires me to write, and when I get those tasks, I complete them, and I have other times where I just feel so inspired. So I just need to get my writing out because even I can sit here and there are like so many ideas in my head. So sometimes I just need an outlet to just write them down. So yes.
That is excellent, and I can identify. I have several thoughts that I have to make a conscious effort to write down myself. So much so I have a published book. So much so I have enough material could publish 4 more books in the morning. So just keep writing. Just keep writing if it's there. And what I've heard from what you wrote is really brilliant. And if I thought about it earlier, I would have probably have us do something you wrote instead of what we're gonna do. But here we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for viewing the Evening People Show thus far. But as you know, on the Evening People Show, boys and girls, we read poetry, man. It's kind of like our jam. And you know what? Before I even read poetry, I'm going to ask y'all again. Anything else you want to share with the viewers before we move on? Going once? Going twice? You see, they shy still. That's good. All right. So we're going to move on the Even People Show. We read some poetry. The poetry we read typically comes from my book called Love, Life, Confrontation, Expressions, Selections from the Chronicles of a Black Man. But like someone pointed out to me today, that's not really a kid's book. It's not really a kids friendly book per se. So what I did for my 2 very, very special guests is I gave them, or I'm giving them, the opportunity to explore a very special poem, one that is not in the book, one that I don't think anybody has ever heard before. So we're gonna transition into the poetry section of our show, and we're gonna have these 2 impressive ladies read for me a poem, like I said, that is not published in the book. It's hot off the press per se. But when I managed to secure these 2 ladies, because I want to say this real quick. I want to say this real quickly. I've been trying to get these ladies on the show for a minute. I was trying to get Brittany on the show when I was in Jamaica in August. It's now November, and this is the first date we could agree on. Like, these kids nowadays, back in the day, I was available full time. I felt like these kids, you have to check their appointment, check their calendars, talk to their secretaries and lawyers before you can get a date to have them on a show, man. So I appreciate y'all taking the time. But here we are. And like I said, we're going to read something special. So the poem that they are going to read for you guys today, I'm going to put it up eventually on the screen. I'm not going to put it up yet. I'm going to hear you listen to them read it first before I even put it up on the screen. Now, I know both of you read very fast. Please don't read very fast. Take your time and acknowledge the punctuation in the poem so the people that have never heard it before can actually hear what you're saying. So here's how we're going to do this. Madison, you're going to read the first stanza. Brittany, you're going to read the second stanza. Madison, you're going to read the third stanza, and so on. All right, ladies, ready? Madison, you're going first, so you get to introduce the poem that you're going to read. And when you are ready, go for it.
Is it this version right here?
It is the version that should be right there.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. This poem is called Black Girl Magic, written by Madison Matthews. I see the reflection of my world through the mirror you've provided. It's the world according to you and the value system by which you're guided. In this world of yours, I subscribe to your will and follow your direction. In this world of mine, the premise on which you stand is an illusion.
I am not my hair or the color of my skin. I am the knowledge in my brain and the beauty within. I am a beacon of hope for this generation and my race. I will rise above all your prejudices. I will set the pace.
I am the Rosa Parks of my time. You may not have my seat. I am Black, I am proud. Do you care to compete? Your mind games and insults disguise the fact that you are weak. My melanin is pure. You're just a flavor of the week.
My lips are thick, my face black, and my hips curvy. I guess why you have a problem. I epitomize natural beauty. Don't think for a moment that my resolves can be swayed. I know my history and you tricks. I know all your wicked ways.
There will never be a moment I don't embrace all that I am. I am beautiful, I am smart, I am a Black woman. Behold who I am and know me. Do not get me confused. I'm not a person you can sway from my values or my views.
So sit back, relax, and watch my transformation. From the Black girl with a low self-esteem to the beautiful, successful woman. And if our friendship becomes a victim as I walk this path I've chose, you weren't worthy of me in the first place. I win, you lose.
Very well done. I agree with Mr. Bell. I feel so proud right now, Mr. Bell. I'm right there with you, sir. I feel so proud. Ladies, very well read. Very, very well read. And I had to pull this one out just for you two. Because I felt like, yeah, I think that this poem, you two can do this poem some justice. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start off with you, Brittany, and now I think is when I'm gonna add this to the screen. All right, so Britt, how did you feel when you read this poem for the first time? What came to mind?
I think it's just one word, empowered. That's it, empowered.
Empowered is awesome. Empowered is a beautiful, empowered is exactly what I was going for in that moment. So thank you very much. Madison, let's do this. Let's look at the first stanza. The first stanza of the poem deals with perception. It talks about how I'm being perceived versus how I perceive myself. Now, what do you think about a person's awareness of their perception of self? How important do you think that is? And I'm gonna read that first stanza real quick, and then you answer. The first sentence says, I see the reflection of my world through the mirror you've provided. It's a world according to you and the value system by which you are guided. In this world of yours, I subscribe to your will and I follow your direction. But in this world of mine, the premise on which you stand, it is an illusion. So it talks about perception. It talks about perception of self versus how others perceive you. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't understand the question 100%, but
Well, let me put it another way. So, like I said, that's first stanza talks about perception. It talks about how somebody else sees you versus how you see yourself. And the question is, how important do you think it is for you to have some kind of self-perception, something that you hold on to, irrespective of how anybody thinks or feel?
beyond important. Because when I was smaller, my dad told me this story one time about how some kid made fun of me because of my skin color. And I don't even recall this story. But he said that my response to him was that black was beautiful. And one thing I thank my parents for is that they always made me understand that my skin color is one of the best things about me. So no matter how the world tries to weaponize my skin color or weaponize how I feel about myself, when it says that in this world of mine, the premise on which you stand is an illusion, I already know how much I mean to this world and how much I mean to the people around me. So there's no way that any beauty standard or anybody's other vision other than myself can break through what I've already built up on my own. Does that answer the question at all?
That very much answers the question, my lady. Thank you very much for that. Brittany, you're up. You're up next. Um, the what do I have for Brittany? The second stanza. The second stanza also deals with perception of self, but it's written more from a standpoint of a declaration to yourself. In your mind, what are some of the things that that a person could be experiencing that would make declaration like this necessary? And can declarations like this be helpful? And you know what, Britt? Let me reread that one real quick too before you answer. That one says, stanza 2 says, I am not my hair or the color of my skin. I am the knowledge in my brain and the beauty within. I am a beacon of hope for this generation and my race. I will rise above your prejudices. I will set the pace. Go ahead, Britt.
So when I examine this second stanza, it sounds as if the persona is confined to some stereotypes regarding her race. And I think this type of declaration is important because, as a young Black girl myself, and I hope you, Madyson, can relate to this, we are so complex to be confined to any sort of conventional mirage or anything like that. So I think it's very important to make that kind of declaration.
Okay. I agree. I totally agree. It is very important to make that kind of declaration. Um, now, Madison, you're up. Now, in 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 this in the character depicted in the poem, now is the character, I'm sorry, is the character depicted in the poem being boastful in stanza 3? If not boastful, what is being depicted here if not boastful? And let me see if I can get us up to stanza 3 here. Bear with me. All the way that way. That would be stanza 3. Stanza 3 says, I am the Rosa Parks of my time. You may not have my seat. I am black. I am proud. Do you care to compete? Your mind game and insults disguise the fact that you are weak. My melanin is pure. You're the flavor of the week. Is this boastful? If not boastful, what is it?
I think Black women and Black people as a whole, anytime we're confident, we get called boastful, we get called aggressive, we get called things of that nature. So even something as simple as that, as us being confident, we get called things like boastful, or we're told to relax a bit, chill out, things of that nature. And so, no, I don't think that it's boastful. I think that they're just being confident and being proud of the color of their skin. And given the amount of years that certain people have tried to strip us of that confidence and of that proudness of our skin, I think we have a right to say whatever we want to say and be proud of however we look.
Britt, I see you nodding. You look like you have something to say about that. Go ahead.
I do agree with Madison. We have been told so many times that, okay, we're ashy and other stuff like that. We don't need to get into all of that. But it is time for us to be proud of who we are, flaws and all.
Well, what if I were to say, because there is a comment here. Hi, Tanaj, how you doing? There is a comment here that is saying that humility, humble is the way to play by societal rules and win at it until you are in a position to effect the rules themselves. So this is an opinion coming from Azim, and he's saying that I think he's saying he's not with you ladies on that. He's thinking being humble, not asserting yourself is the way to go. What are your thoughts on that?
You want to answer this, Brittany, or you want me to answer?
Say again.
Sure.
Go ahead, Britt.
So I think it also relates to the question about you saying if you thought it was boastful.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not trying to be boastful. Yes, being humble is a character trait that I think everybody should possess. But you can be humble and confident. There is a middle there. It is not just one or the other.
I concur. Thank you. Madison?
Same with Brittany. We've especially Black women, like I said before, like anytime we try and be proud, we always get called not being humble or aggressive or things like that. So just repeating what I said before, I don't think it's us not being humble or us not being stuff like that. I think we are allowed to be proud of who we are without being called any of that.
Amen to that. Amen to that. All right. The next question that I have for you, ladies, is for you, Brittany. It says, that's the next stanza down. The phrase says, I think we're up to stanza 4 now. It says, the phrase in there says, I epitomize natural beauty appears in stanza 4. What is the relevance of the rest of the contents of that stanza? And do you think this is a widely accepted fact? If yes, why? If no, why? It says, my lips are thick, my face is black, my hips are curvy. I think I get why you have a problem. I epitomize natural beauty. Do you think for a moment that my resolve can be swayed? I know my history and your tricks. I know all your wicked ways. Now that phrase, the question is that phrase, I epitomize natural beauty. Do you think the characteristics displayed there are widely accepted as epitomizing natural beauty?
I think that we are getting there.
Okay.
It has been a process, as Madison touched on before. We have been deprived so long, but I think our generation, we're really coming forward and we are accepting all types of people, all body types, all looks. We're just very accepting. So I do believe that we are getting there.
Okay. Madison, what do you think?
Agree with everything Brittany said.
you see, that's why I pose it to one or the other of y'all. Y'all right here. All right. Let's see what we have next. Stanza 5. The last line of stanza 5. And let me see again if I can pull up stanza 5. And the last line we said of stanza 5 says, I am not a person you can sway from my values and my ways. Um, in the world of smartphone and 24-hour networks, is this something that requires deliberate effort? And if so, or if not, why not just chill out and ride with the tide? It says, I am not a person you can sway from my values and my ways. The lines preceding that says, there is never a moment I do not embrace all that I am. I am beautiful, I'm smart, I am a black woman. Behold who I am and know me. Do not get me confused. I am not a person you can sway from my values and my views. And the question is, with in the onset of networks and 24-hour networks and smartphones, is this still a thing? Does anybody have any view on anything that they're trying to hold on to, or do we just go with whatever these networks are telling us is hot or we should be talking about today?
I think what you're asking is like if we get affected by like social media and stuff. Am I on the right track?
You are on the right track.
Okay. I think everyone goes through at least a phase where they see things on the internet and they think, oh, maybe I should look like that. Maybe I could do like that. Even me, I've been debating on locking my hair because I see so many pretty people having their hair locked on social media. But it's like, I think Black women get it the worst because we're being pushed from all sides to be something. I'm still not understanding your question though.
No, you are addressing my question. It's like,
Okay.
is social media in the era where so much information comes from smartphones, so much information is out there on the internet, so much information is out there on networks. Are people out there, are young ladies like yourself still holding on to their value systems that they have been taught, that they have in place? Or are we in an era now where you just kind of go with whatever trend or fad there is, and where you end up, you end up? Let me see what Brittany has to say before I come back to you, Madison. Brittany, what do you think?
I think that it can be very influential, but I do believe that there are people out there that no matter what is going on in the world, whether the world declares something as right or wrong, they are going to just stand up for what they believe in, no matter what.
All right. Sounds good to me. Maddie, what do you think?
Agreed. And like the addition of TikTok and things like that, where videos are so like easily accessible and where trends are constantly changing and like aesthetics are constantly like being presented to people, especially like younger people, maybe not me and Brittany's age, younger than that, they get really affected by the things that they see because like they see other people portraying it as something that it's not. And like, so yeah, but like Brittany said, there are going to be people who will never change regardless of what happens in the world.
Okay. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. Now, I have a question for both of you ladies. The last stanza of the poem, it says, references friendships becoming a victim on a road to transformation. Does this sentiment represent that in the last stanza consistent with what you are seeing in schools now? Or is peer pressure still king? And what do you think about these lines? So the last stanza, if I may read it, says, so sit back, relax, and watch my transformation from a black girl with low self-esteem to a beautiful, successful woman. And if our friendship becomes a victim as I walk this path I've chose, you weren't worthy of me in the first place. I win, you lose. Brittany, you're up first. I can
So
rephrase the question if necessary.
I think I understand what you're saying.
Go for it.
So I believe the question asks if it's relevant to high school. I think it's not only relevant to high school, but from what I have witnessed in all stages of life, as long as you are growing and you are changing, there is always something there that you are going to lose, which most times is friendships because people change, people flourish, people grow, and you might just outgrow a friendship. And if that happens, then what can you do? You move on.
Fair enough. I've had to do it. Madison, what do you think?
I agree, especially with coming into high school, people are finding out who they are, what they like, what they want to do, and you start finding out really what your principles are and what the things that you hold dear.
Mhm.
And you find out that the people you surrounded yourself with since like middle school, they don't actually have those ideals. They were just people that were fun to hang around. You had a good time, but when it comes to be serious, they don't know how to do that. And sometimes you have people in high school that are there for the experience, and then you have people in high school who are there to leave high school and become something outside of high school. And I think you can see that in adults too, who really were in high school to be in high school and not to use it as a stepping stool for outside of high school.
I'm impressed. I'm happy I had you two on the show. I'm very excited that the show has gone the way it has gone. Now, before I wrap this up, I know, like I said, I've been trying to track these two down since August to get them on the show. We finally got it done at the end of November, the last show in November. Um, any parting words? What would you like to leave with to other students out there, for example, that are struggling, to parents out there potentially that are dealing with these kids and not knowing how to deal with them? Um, what would you say to these kids? What would you say to their parents as far as a recommendation, so to speak, as to what they could do differently to actually reach their child? Britt, you're it.
So, a recommendation. I think you should listen to your child. Every single child is different, and what might work for me might not work for Madison. So you have to listen to your child, and when those problems arise, you face them head on. And as I said before, parents also need help. So if you as a parent you need help, there are people out there that you can reach out to as well. There are always people there to listen.
Valid. Madison?
Like Brittany said, communication is the biggest thing. You have to communicate with your child, and you as the child that are probably not watching, but they have to communicate with the parents and let them know exactly how they feel, exactly what's going on. One of the reasons why my mom takes it so easy on me, I guess you could say, is because she sees how I struggle in school. She sees how I try to keep up and, try to reason with your child. Like, don't think that just because you see their grades from coming back to school that they need to be punished, that the action needs to be taken. Just take your time with them and don't compare them to other kids. That does not help at all.
Sounds personal, but okay. All right, ladies. Thank you two so much. Thank you two so much. Thank you two so much. You two represented very well, like I thought you would. It was my absolute pleasure having both of you on the Evening People Show today. I'm gonna do this again. I think there's more in there that we can get out of both of you, and neither of you are feeling well today. So I still don't think I got the the face that I'm used to from both of you. I'm seeing both of you now, knowing both of you are not feeling well. I can hear it in Madison's voice. But I appreciate you ladies so much. You both did very well. And thank you so much for joining the Evening People Show. All right. All right, ladies. Take care. Say bye to the fans. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, peoples. That's the ball game. That is the ball game. Um, I was so excited when I could when I decided when I was able to get these two young ladies on the show, because like they said, listen to your kids, listen to what they say, um, get some feedback from them. When we grew up in a whole another era, when listen to your parents ain't got nothing to listen to with you, go do this or go do that. Now but it's a different time now. It's a different time now. Where kids they have opinions. They're entire little people, and sometimes, especially when they're well read, like these two ladies are, they have legitimate points to add to any topic you can bring up because they're well read. Um, so if you take anything from the show, and I thank you all for staying with us. I thank you all for checking in with the Evelyn People Show today. But if there's anything you learn, it would be that for me. Listen to your kids. Listen to your kids. Both the ladies parted with that. Listen to your kids. When your kids are talking, when they're hurting, when they have something to say, don't just tell them to go drink water and go on them bed. Listen to them. You might learn something about them. They might learn something about you. You guys might meet each other in the middle, and you can make a change. If this was your first time joining the Evelyn People Show, I thank you so much. I thank you for all the comments that have come in. Thank you guys for bearing with me this time. If you don't yet have a copy of my book, it is back there. It's called Love, Life, Confrontation, Expression, Selection from the Chronicles of a Black Man. My YouTube channel is The Martin Matthews Project. Like, subscribe, and share that so somebody else can like, subscribe, and share that. I have an awesome guest lined up for you next week. It's just what I do, man. Y'all don't want to miss next week's show. So when you see that notification, go ahead and hit that get reminder button so you'll get the notification when we go live. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all so much. And I'm out. Peace.